Good morning, GM. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the NFT morning. And today, for the episode 860-ish something, I'm super excited. As you can hear, we are speaking English today. Most of the time, we are in French, but we have a very special guest that I'm super happy and excited to have today because she's a legend basically. We love to use superlative in this Web3 space, but she's a real one, and she's been building one of the most significant and important project collection in the NFT slash ordinal space. Please welcome Amanda Terry from Onchain Monkey. Hi Amanda, how are you?
GM, I'm great. How are you, John?
I'm doing great. I was saying, I love your outfit, for people who are listening, because, some people are just listening on Spotify or whatever. We have the chance to have Amanda with a full outfit, or full orange outfit, with this super cool jacket, Ancient Monkeys, and of course, a nice hat cap also. And yeah, it's amazing. I want the same now. I will figure out, I will find a way to have one.
It's funny. Orange was really big in the ski season last season, and I was like, I can't wait till I have ski clothes. I'm like, I can't wait till some of these go on sale in the spring so I can scoop some more orange clothes, because I am one of those people where literally, if I am anywhere and I see something that's like Bitcoin orange, I go check it out, and I typically want to buy it because I'm going to so many of these conferences, and I just love orange. As you know, it's the color of optimism, obviously the color of Bitcoin. And so yeah, I a lot of my wardrobe has become orange these
No,
days.
yeah, and it's amazing because now it's sunny. We feel like, especially during spring and summer, it's really like super powerful and bringing a lot of positive vibes. So it's no, it's super cool. And okay, Ancient Monkeys, we'll talk about it, but basically, you are basically the first 10K collection on ordinals. You are promoting also now art on Bitcoin as a cultural level. I would say you really like you have a strong cultural feelings and views about what is Bitcoin and how it's impacting the society basically. And this is pretty amazing, to have a project like your one, who started like, I don't know what it is, like 4 years ago, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we started before ordinals was a thing, right? We started back in 21, always with the idea of treating the block space with respect and kind of building sustainably. So, when we first launched Onchain Monkey, we were actually the first 10,000 collection done in a single Ethereum transaction, right? So very small footprint. They were SVG
Wait,
files.
wait, wait. So yeah. So as we're starting, just to
Yeah,
understand,
yeah,
because I think Okay, can we even move a bit backward just to
sure.
understand, who because you mentioning, yeah, you studied on Ethereum, you studied with this name On-Chain Monkey that was pretty, I would say, visionary, because it was a moment where on-chain NFTs was not a thing. It was more like, yeah, nobody was, of course, on-chain art was already, you had some experiences and stuff that already existed before, but it was not really a thing, and people were not so much talking about it, and where is the data stored, and is it on IPFS and whatever, and have you pinned your image or whatever, all these questions that no people are discovering as some collections are literally dying, and we saw that also very, very recently with this
Yeah.
Clone X episode, where basically all the orders realized that, they had an error displayed on OpenSea on the JPEG, they've been buying. So yeah, just, yeah, I think it's important to understand that, yeah, you've been pioneering the on-chain space even before Ordinals, because you started on Ethereum. But who are you guys? Amanda and yeah, your co-founder, basically. How did you end up into this world, basically?
Yeah, I mean, it's even goes back further, right? So my co-founders are Danny Yang and Bill Tai, and Bill has been in crypto since 2010. He literally tweeted when the Bitcoin white paper came out, has anyone read this? Fascinating potential. He was actually Alan Gollum Greenspan in Second Life, and as you know, Second Life had a digital currency back in 2003, so that was really like even a precursor to all the digital currencies that we know. today.
Like the Linden dollar or
The
something like
Linden dollar, yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, wow.
exactly. And Philip Rosdale is an investor, obviously, in MetaGood, which is the company behind Onchain Monkey. So Bill, goes back, way back. I mean, he even personally funded the silicon for the first ASIC mining chip created by Bitfury, right? Which now has funded and become part of a number of Bitcoin mining operations, including Hut 8 Bitcoin, which he's on the board of, which is the largest digital asset miner in North America. We'll talk about Onchain Monkey, but obviously they just announced news today that their subsidiary American Bitcoin is also going to spin out, go public separately as well. So that's quite exciting. So
What? Wow, there are too many information. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was just announced. American Bitcoin is going to be spinning out and going public separately. And Hut 8 is basically going to become almost like a virtual power company with no capex. So super interesting. But Hut 8 was originally the largest digital asset miner in North America. That Bill's obviously on the board of. Eric Trump is part of the American Bitcoin subsidiary, which is spinning out and going public. Separately, it just in quick news, just to talk about kind of old school ties. There was a big announcement. Obviously, David Bailey, Bitcoin Inc. is merging with Kindly, which is a telemedicine company listed on the NASDAQ, and they're creating an entity called Nakamoto, which is going to be, with the mission of kind of helping Bitcoin end up on all public and private reserves. So both countries and companies, huge, probably the largest PIPE deal. So that's private investment and public equity done in the crypto space. They raised 510 million in equity and another 200 million convertible debt. I'm very proud to be a personal investor, as is Danny and Bill. Also, I run a small venture fund with Bill called Active Ventures, and the fund came in as well. So yeah, this exciting news that just came out this morning as well. So yeah, and then I'll also talk about Danny, my other co-founder. He founded the Stanford Bitcoin Meetup in 2013, PhD in computer science from Stanford. So just very, very smart technologist. He also created MyCoin, which is the largest cryptocurrency exchange on Taiwan. So think the Coinbase of Taiwan. It's been operating for over a decade. And he created Blockseer, which a number of government agencies were using for kind of blockchain analytics that he sold in 2018. I knew Bill back in 2013 from kiteboarding. He has a network of tech entrepreneurs who like to kite all around the world. And kind of fast forward, Danny, Bill introduced me to Danny actually, like a long time ago. But then, we all came together in 2021 to start MetaGood, which is the company behind Onchain Monkey. And, at the time, the thought was, how do you use NFTs to be kind of digital nation states to make positive impact in the world? As you know, Bill, or you may not know, but Bill seeded Dapper Labs in 2018 and told Roam he would invest if he created a crypto kitty that looked like a cat named Hanu Kitty, and that cat would be auctioned off at the Necker Blockchain Summit, which Bill founded, and all the proceeds were given to Captain Paul Watson to part a boat off the coast of Antigua to protect a shoal nesting area. So that was the first NFT for ocean conservation. So the thought was, how can you do that but at scale? Doesn't have to be necessarily for charitable goods, but for making a positive impact in the world. And that was kind of the founding of MetaGood. And when Danny launched, because he literally coded himself, Onchain Monkey, back in September 11th, 2021, it was also similar to CryptoPunks, a free mint. They were minted out in 4 hours. And then we've built this incredible community around Onchain Monkey that really values technology, innovation, believes in sovereignty and freedom and Bitcoin. And we really are very passionate around moving the art on Bitcoin kind of movement forward, and we kind of think this is the next wave in generative art is going to happen on Bitcoin.
When you started, so when you started, it was on Ethereum, right?
Yeah, it was on Ethereum because it wasn't able to actually inscribe data or art directly on Bitcoin.
But you already had in mind this idea of trying to do something on Bitcoin.
Well, we wanted to be on chain. The idea was, and that's why it was Onchain Monkey, right? Was that you know, instead of you owning a digital certificate that points to a off file, storage system, which, you don't pay your AWS bill, or a founder decides to disappear into the ethers, your what do you actually own, right? You just, the art could be rugged. So the idea with Onchain Monkey was putting this art on chain, on Ethereum, which, done in a single Ethereum transaction, had not been done before, was a huge technical feat.
Yeah, so it was a huge technical. It was a crazy technical challenge. At this moment, it was like, because you need to, because a lot of things happened the last 4 years, but you need to realize that at this moment it was extremely considered as extremely pricey, extremely complex, extremely heavy to do some on-chain stuff on Ethereum.
Yeah, and people were, even back then, they're like, well, why is it called On-Chain Monkey? Like, we get the image is a monkey, and why is the monkey so simple? And there's actually a great Medium post that Danny wrote. It's called The Making of On-Chain Monkey, where you can actually see the art of him trying to get it into the form factor to fit, 10,000 SVGs into a single Ethereum transaction. But then kind of fast forward, obviously, this whole team has been kind of at the early points of Bitcoin, and then now of ordinals as well. And so, we were in very close ties with the ordinals protocol team. Actually, we helped them do some of their early test transactions for parent-child provenance, right? Which is how you show that it's actually an ordinals collection. You can actually tie the children inscriptions to the parent, which kind of shows the linkage. And when the ordinals protocol was ready to launch, we were able to then inscribe all 10,000 monkeys in the first 10,000 collection using parent-child provenance on Bitcoin, which is quite historic. And even to this day, which is why we're so thrilled that you run and a conference like an NFC Lisbon, is to educate people on what does it mean to actually own on-chain art, right? For everything that's an ordinal, that data, that art, is actually described on chain. So I always like to kind of use the analogy of the Lascaux cave paintings, right, in France, that those outlived the cave people that painted them, ages ago. Same thing with these monkeys, or with really any ordinals collection on Bitcoin. This art is going to outlive us all, right? Because as long as there's Bitcoin, which we believe, it's Bitcoin is not going anywhere. It's the largest, most decentralized layer one protocol. That art will survive, and so that's what's so beautiful about on-chain art, is just that it will outlast us all. It's immutable. It's on-chain. It's so.
No, totally makes sense, and yeah, Bitcoin will live forever, basically. And it's so trying, having this vision of creating this, and being early, of course, because you mentioned you basically discovered ordinals pretty early, I believe, and so yeah, you wanted to push it. I think even at this moment, it was pretty pretty challenging, I would say, to migrate from Ethereum to Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're also still the only collection that did a teleburn from Ethereum over to Bitcoin, which obviously took a lot of education and also trust from our community to do that, because we did that quite early on. We've opened like 8 portals now for people to do that teleburn. And I'm proud to say that like over 80%, I should know the exact number, maybe it's 85 now, but the vast majority of our collection has moved over to Bitcoin and safely back to the mother chain.
Okay, awesome. And so when you started to do it, you became one of the symbol of ordinals collections. Afterward, okay, you have like some big collections, came up, but in terms of community, there is something pretty special with Ancient Monkeys, no?
Yeah, no, we have a very very strong, very active community, like in our Telegram, and in our Discord, and on Twitter, with people that just really respect innovation, and really believe in art and Bitcoin, and this being kind of the next. It's not that Ethereum is going to go away. It's just a different medium, right? It's like, okay, there was photography, there's sculpture, there's different mediums, and Bitcoin is another medium, and Bitcoin as a canvas and the ability to use rare sats, right? So all of our Genesis are on block 9, 458 sats. We're literally the first Bitcoin ever mined by Satoshi, given to Hal Finney. Like, that's historic, right? So you think about digital real estate, these sats are kind of like the Park Avenue in New York or the Champs-Elysees in Paris, or it's very rare block space that this art lives on. And so it is kind of a different medium for digital art. And I would say there are also, a lot of the early people that came in were very inspired kind of by the notion of also NFTs and their ability to make positive impact. And we've done a number of things using our primary and secondary trading revenues to support, big social impact projects that really impact people on a very
Really?
human level.
Oh, I didn't know that. What, for example, what did you do?
Yeah. So if you saw in the news, it was in the Washington Post, New York Times. It was also all over the Italian news when Sharbat Gula, she was the face of Nat Geo with those piercing green eyes as an Afghan child. When the Taliban were entering Afghanistan, she reached out to the photographer who she had kept in touch with, Steve McCurry, and said, my and my family's lives are in danger. We're considered a Western icon. Is there any way you could help me? And it turned out one of our advisors, Luis Hoyos, who's the director behind The Cove, Racing Extinction, and Game Changers, reached out and said, hey, Metagood, can you help with anything? And we did a donation, and we basically funded her evacuation, her family, from Afghanistan to Italy safely. And yeah, it's huge. And we were named, Fast Company's 20 best world changing ideas for impact investing. We're 100% not, I would say, impact company. We're about financial returns. We're about, obviously people invest in NFTs for, floor go up, and we want to make, create wealth for our community. But it is something that's quite differentiating about Onchain Monkey is that we've done a number of these things, right? Like when we worked with Alexi Andre, who, as you know, did friendship bracelets with Snowfro, which is the top trade collection for art blocks. During COP26, we projected his NFTs on the side of the Glasgow building in Scotland. It was the first time, a major NFT artist had been projected during a climate conference. And the idea was, he said, if I ever am able to launch a collection with you, I want to give some proceeds to do, climate help with climate solutions, right? And so when we launched him last July, it was his first 10,000 generative art collection on Bitcoin. We also donate a portion of those proceeds to coral reef restoration with a professor, in the Philippines who's been doing this work for like 25 years and is like well recognized in the space. So we do a lot of these things. We don't always publicize it, but it's something that I think
I mean, but I think it's interesting because you are sharing a lot of information, and it's great because for so many people, they just see people who are not part of the community. They see the monkeys, they say, okay, it's a collection, and yeah, that's it. But at the end of the day, you've been extremely active, because I forgot that you've been doing this collaboration with Alexandre, for example. So basically, you try to bring, also you're creating bridges, I would say, between what you guys are doing in the Bitcoin world and not only the blockchain world, but the real world also at the end of the day.
And yeah, I'm gonna just say that's what's so exciting. 2 years ago when NFT Paris, after we're like, you guys need to be covering ordinals, right? This is 22. This is the first time, or 2 years ago, whatever. NFT Paris was the first time they did one panel on NFTs. So I spoke. We had Far, and I got Alexi Andre to speak also with Not Thread Guy was our moderator. But that was, and now like 2 years later, they had a whole track on ordinals, right? So it's like, but we always are, I think, trying to pioneer and educate people on what we're doing, and not just us, but like we view it as a win for kind of like art on Bitcoin, right? Because it's still so early, right? Like it's kind of funny when collections are, or even the way that like Magic Eden is set up. I mean, you're looking at how much volume was traded that day, and it's like sometimes we take a step back and we're like, this is early for everyone for art on Bitcoin. Like if you're here now, you're like CryptoPunks in 2018, right? It took till 2021. It was like one ETH forever, right? So it's like we want to grow the pie. We want to educate people. So it's like it's a win, not just for Onchain Monkey when any of these things happen, but it's like a win for the whole ordinals industry, right? Because we're still very early and we're still educating people. And we want people to be, we want other collections to educate people on like the beauty of art on Bitcoin because we're still early days.
So what does so out on the, of course, your collection, also is of course visually is arty also and pretty strong. But when you're promoting broader audience of you're promoting broader artists, like you mentioned, Alexandre.
Yes.
Are you doing like more initiatives, to promote art on Bitcoin, basically?
Yeah, so we worked with Patrick Amadon. He's an LA-based glitch artist to do his first Bitcoin collection. We worked with Brian Brinkman, who obviously been Sotheby's, Chrissy as well, to launch his first Bitcoin collection. There's a number of other artists who also want to work with us. We actually created our own marketplace called Osura, OSURA.com. And the idea was that, pretty much the marketplace still is very much around trading, kind of PFPs, but there's also a marketplace that we believe is for highlighting really high quality art, where maybe it's not just all about trading, it's just highlighting what is beautiful art on Bitcoin. And that is kind of some of the art that we've launched on Osura. Oh, there you go. Yeah. This Katoshi Classic. So we just did a mint like a month ago. This art was done actually by the Hollywood animation team behind the movies Ice Age, Rio, and Ferdinand. And yeah, we did a mint of 2,100 of these monkeys, sold out in 22 minutes. And yeah, you can see this is the opposite kind of art from Genesis, which is very simple, but this is all hand-drawn art. Took, over 9 months for this team to create. And yeah, it's really, really, really beautiful art and cost us a lot to inscribe, frankly, on Bitcoin when we did it. So it's that, we've launched those collections. We've worked with, before Katoshi, we also launched a collection called OCM Dimensions. And right now there's, that collection was actually the first collection to kind of pioneer the use of recursion. And we had, basically code libraries that we offered as public goods. So they're free. Anyone can use them. They're in GitHub. To put art on Bitcoin using recursion. So, that was also quite pioneering. And there's been many artists who've used those libraries to put their art on Bitcoin. So again, yeah, it's like Onchain Monkey is a brand. We stand for innovation. We stand for, really high quality art, but we also are much more than that. We're really kind of helping to move, this art on Bitcoin movement forward.
I see. So yeah, onboarding, because I mean, yeah, of course, when you're open sourcing some data, it's the idea is of course to onboard people, especially artists at this stage. So we understand this idea of bringing more people into this Bitcoin environment. So for you, of course, ordinals are not dead.
No, oh my gosh, no. I mean, I think we say that obviously in the
No, because
most sarcastic
I'm a
manner.
strong ordinals believer, and really love that. But I think the last 6 months have been pretty, I would say, depressive in the community.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think you just gotta zoom out a little bit and remember, the ordinals protocol is only 2 years old, right? So there's ordinals, now runes have come in. We're still very early innings, I think. And I think people, we realize, when we go to some of these conferences, people are still
No,
like,
but
well,
yeah,
what is
I
an
agree with that.
ordinal? What is
But
that?
I
Like,
think for a lot of people, because a lot of people anticipated more or less that it would be kind of Bitcoin bull run, and this is what happened. Because Bitcoin has been overperforming at the end of the day, almost everything, I would say, surprisingly. But some people have been betting on kind of the Bitcoin ecosystem with ordinals, and so far, yeah, many of them say, yeah, I should have stayed on Bitcoin. You know what I mean?
mm, yeah, I mean, I think it you gotta just, I think you gotta look at like, I think the highest value digital assets, and it's not gonna be every collection, but if you look at like On-Chain Monkey, There are times, and I think over time, that we should be able to even appreciate faster than Bitcoin. And that's certainly like our belief. That's why we're all here, right? Like Danny, Bill, myself, we could all be kind of working on anything. But but now our collection, so the Genesis, the Katoshi, OCM Dimensions, everything is moved fully to Bitcoin. So we're, everything that
It's
we're working
amazing.
on is Bitcoin.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But it's still something. This kind of art movement. I still believe that I see, because you mentioned Patrick Amada and Alexei Andre, and some some other, Brian Brickman. Okay, I see it because there's a lot of people collecting on Ethereum. For them, collecting on ordinals, it's not a big deal. It's not like, I don't believe in it, I don't buy it. Many people are pretty open to that, and we see artists. Artists are leading the way, and
Yes.
so it's interesting, to see that, yeah, a lot of people from the Ethereum community are fine and open, to meet on Bitcoin and respect that. But on the other hand, Bitcoin owners, the traditional one, I still believe that there is a lot of education to do, to bring these people, to be interested in what's happening with this Web3 living on Bitcoin. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes. But I mean, I think our view is, if you look kind of, again, kind of zoom out historically, like when people accumulate wealth, like historically, what have they done with it? They've bought art, right? Because one, it's a
100%.
store
No,
of
no,
value.
this is what I
Also
explained to
something they
people.
like, they want to show, right? And I think that's one thing, is like, what's the form factor for even showing ordinals? Like, it's the ecosystem is still, the infrastructure is so early. There's not great ways to kind of like show off your ordinals today. But I mean, our view is, as more wealth is communicating in Bitcoin and with these whales, and these people are already digitally savvy, it's like, why wouldn't you want to park some of your wealth in a store of value, which is ordinals, right? I don't think that's fully happened yet, but that is our thesis, is that, you get more digitally savvy people that are created wealth through Bitcoin. They're going to want to park it in what? Ordinals. It's not going to probably be Ethereum NFTs. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I think it's a good if it's happening on Bitcoin, I think it may happen also on Ethereum. I think it should happen everywhere, I believe. But it's
And who's to say, as with all this exciting news, I mean, obviously we've seen the rise of MetaPlanet, of MicroStrategy, of a number of different companies, right, that have adopted this Bitcoin accumulation strategy and kind of Bitcoin reserve, even countries, right? Multiple countries, multiple companies. The news today, like the largest pipe into basically this new Nakamoto company that's going to be doing that, right, which is Bitcoin Inc. Why wouldn't ordinals be part of the Bitcoin reserve? So I think those are some of the conversations that we're having, which again is not just about, okay, have on-chain monkey, collect on-chain monkey into your Bitcoin reserve, but those are the type of conversations that we're very interested in participating in and influencing and driving. And those are happening. Those are happening right now.
I want to follow you on this. It's and I believe this is the key, and it's all about his stories. And big, basically street art and basically pop art collectors has been big whales from the 80s and 90s from the finance world, actually. And so I believe the same should happen. Of course, the big whales from the Bitcoin and other crypto industry will collect that, and I want them,
And
of
they
course.
are. They are. I mean, Simon Garevic from MetaPlanet, which is probably the most success story, in recent times of adopting, it was a Japanese traded stock on the Tokyo Stock Exchange just a year ago, and then, adopted the Bitcoin strategy. And then the stock just took off, right? And so I know, um, you know, so Simon is an investor in MetaGood, and he's also a big on-chain monkey holder. So he is an on-chain monkey holder, but it's like, us translating that into like MetaPlanet, his company, also buying these. These are the type of things, the type of conversations we want to have, and that we're going to continue having with, countries, corporates, anybody in the space, right? Because, and then it also works, kind of, from that level, but also, in terms of the tastemakers, like we're having many conversations with museums and galleries that for the first time want to show ordinals, right? Like very first time. And that's also very exciting. But those are also very, as you know, in the art world, very long lead time processes. Like most art shows take at least a year, even, or two to get
Yeah,
planned. But
several
those are the
years.
type of
Yeah.
conversations that we're having with, major museums that are interested in now having, ordinals exhibitions, in partnership with Onchain Monkey.
No, yeah, that's super exciting and interesting. I realize that the time is flying. It's because of you, Amanda. It's because you have a lot of interesting things to share. I just wanted to be sure that we're not missing anything before the end of the show. Just so right now, Unchained Monkeys, what are the next steps for you guys, basically?
Yeah, I mean, the next steps are, Danny and I are going to be in Vegas for Bitcoin Vegas, May 26th to 30th. We're going to do a gathering. Both of us are speaking at Inscribing Vegas on the 27th, and we'll hold a brunch for some of our holders. And we're going to be doing a lot of one-on-one meetings with a lot of the people that are going to be there, again, to kind of educate people on ordinals and get more people into on-chain monkey. So kind of that's the very, very near term stuff that we're looking at. But yeah, we are very excited to support the Art on Bitcoin movement, not just for on-chain monkey, but really as a win for the whole industry. And always excited to be present and have our community present at events that are supporting Art on Bitcoin.
Amazing. And so, how do you see, let's say, middle termly? How do you feel about the end of 2025? Because, are you optimistic?
I mean, Bitcoin hitting, what is it, 104, 105, whatever, like all-time highs. Yes, I am feeling very optimistic. I think we are in a new era, at least in the US, in terms of our policies towards Bitcoin. And I'm seeing so many macro tailwinds from at the government level, down to the corporate level, down to, I think we have a lot to look forward to in 2025.
Wow, it's gonna be exciting. Now, really, so just for everybody, I really, will share all the link also, to discover or rediscover Unchained Monkeys, because I think you've been in the space, for a while. But we'll invite you, even more. I mean, even me, I felt like I knew the project, but I'm discovering much more. But basically, just go on onchainmonkey.com first, and you can see all the links and all the information. It's extremely, well designed, professional. You see that you have a vision behind, and it's really impressive, what you guys are doing. So really wanted to thank you, Amanda, for that. And so yeah, for people who will be in Vegas, you will meet also the team there. And no, just can't wait to see what you guys are cooking, because as you mentioned, I still believe we are early, so can't wait to see next step.
Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate you having me on, and it's always great to be able to share our story. And it was wonderful meeting you in Paris a couple years ago, and look forward to the next time we can hang out.
Definitely. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Amanda. Have a great day. For people following us, you will see tomorrow we have something. You will see. Just check the announcement on the Twitter account. And so have a great day and good morning.
GM.
Happy